right, we are going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order. It is 5:37. I appreciate everyone's patience as we make sure that we get additional commission members here. Are there any public comments before we get started? This big. Okay. All right, if not, we'll go ahead and get to number 3, approval of previous minutes from the regular meeting of March 3rd, 2025. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those?
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes that's presented here.
I'll second.
Second by Jason. Jason Wells,
Yes.
Nathan Turner. I'm sorry, he's absent. Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Darrell Covington,
Yes.
Phil Nichols.
Yes.
And Mineka Gibbs.
Yes.
Perfect, 5-0.
All right, number 4, HPC application number 25-004. Discussion and potential action on a request of certificate of compliance for the demolition of a non-contributing building addition on the rear of the building and approval for new safety stairs and balcony for a property located at 208 West Oklahoma Avenue. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As indicated, this is a request. There's an addition on the rear of the building that is a more modern addition. It's a garage. The applicant is looking to demo that portion of the building, not the entire building. You can see it in the pictures there. And then they're looking to add basically egress to the building through metal stairs and a balcony. In that they're looking to have residential on the second floor at some point, and so obviously to meet fire code and ingress egress regulations, they're looking to put that the stairs in that on there. So as I indicated, the portion is a more modern portion, probably built in the 50s, I would guess. I'm not really sure. And again, none of the contributing building itself will be affected other than the addition, but the demo is just for the garage. And the applicants are here, so if you'd like to ask them any questions, I'm sure would be happy to answer any questions you have.
They look like cinder blocks, Nan.
Yeah,
right?
it is, yeah.
Yes.
That's why I said it's a more modern. And it was 2-3 years ago, we had a similar, it was on East Oklahoma, on the back. It might even have been the Crest Building, I don't remember, one of those, but it was a similar situation where there was a garage that was more modern, cinder block, and they had requested to have it demoed due to just bad condition, and that was approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, could we have the applicants please come forward to the podium?
Good evening.
Evening.
Welcome. So this is exciting. We don't have a lot of garages downtown as it is. So we don't really get a lot of requests to remove them. Not that I'm opposed, actually. It's your building. These buildings weren't built with garages, obviously. And meeting fire standards are always great. And you're only looking right now just to completely demolish that and then also add that second story balcony. Is that going to be for people to be able to use or only just for a fire escape situation?
The second floor balcony that's going to be on the rear of the property is designed to meet egress from any of the existing windows. It's not intended as being a hangout spot.
Okay.
It would probably allow for access to the second floor or to the roof through attached stairs.
Okay.
Are the pictures represented here as an example? Are those similar in style that you're looking at, or?
Yes, they're similar in style. We don't have a specific design,
Sure.
But that would be similar to what we'd be looking at.
Okay.
We kind of looked at either one of the neighboring properties that have metal stairs and metal balconies, and we'd probably just go with something that would match.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the original doors and windows that were there will be reinstalled?
Well, if you're looking at the original doors, the windows were probably updated mid-50s when the garage was added. So on the first floor, there's two windows that will be put back to more of our original standard. Same with the center door that would be put back. We're going to match the original style as best we can.
Okay.
Ideally, on the second floor, we go back with something that's a little bit more aesthetic, because right now it's a single pane metal.
Yeah,
Yep. Good.
very good.
Very good. And the storm doors that you're wanting to use for basement access, this basement is lower level, right? It is,
Correct.
so it is a ground level, so this would be appropriate.
Well, if you look at the property now on the west side of the garage, there's a door at ground level where you access and then go directly downstairs. So the, what is submitted is something that would be a metal opening just to cover it, keep that area secured, but while still having access to it.
Okay.
Just to be clear, what we're deciding tonight is the demolition.
Also the railings and that, yeah, basic,
Also,
yeah.
no, we would be deciding
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah,
So-
all of it, yeah.
Okay, but we don't know exactly what they're gonna put in there. Am I wrong?
In the, like the use or?
No, like what it's gonna look like, those types of things.
Oh, yeah, I mean, as they indicated, it's gonna be similar, it's gonna be a metal that you typically will see on the back of most buildings, and even similar to what there's a few buildings we have in town that have kind of the fire escape still, not a whole lot in that, but it would be the metal type and fit in as best as possible.
So the picture example on the storm doors at the basement access, are those close to what you guys plan on putting in? They are?
Yeah.
Maybe not specific color, but style.
Okay,
Ideally, it's going to be something that's commercial grade.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
And then for the stairs, since you have not chosen the likeness and an exact metal, keeping a uniform style. And the reason why I asked if it was going to be a usable balcony is because on Harrison, there is a balcony over the sidewalk, and it is used. So that style is a bit different than just a standard balcony or fire escape type style. So that's why I was asking in particular. Those designs are slightly different because they're used and seen from the street in a different way. And this property, the back of it is seen from the street, but not particularly used, right, for that same way. I would like to see that it is uniform with the example of the stairs and balcony adjacent on the east property.
Yeah, I believe the east property is C-channel with a expanded metal
Yeah.
C-channel stairwell.
As long as it meets the fire safety codes, I would imagine it probably does, as it looks like that's what this is for.
It's, it will likely have to have a landing due to the distance it's traveling.
I'm glad you guys are improving the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Any other questions or concerns? No? Color? No?
Thank you.
Right.
I'd make a motion that we approve as applied.
I'll second.
Jason Wells,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Darrell Covington,
Yes.
Phil Nichols,
Yes.
and Maneka Gibbs.
Yes.
All right, 5-0.
All All right, number 5, HPC application number 25-005, discussion and potential action on request for a certificate of compliance for public pocket park at the intersection of Oklahoma and Wentz. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you indicated, this is a city project. It's at the, as indicated, the corner of Wentz and Oklahoma. It's currently a parking lot that exists there. This is adjacent to our shops project. The city had gotten a grant for a pocket park. And so this is, and I want to mention, and I forgot to mention it in my staff report, I apologize, it did go to the Parks Board, which they did approve the, recommend approval of the current layout that is proposed to you tonight. The site plan, as you see, will have basically in each corner, we'll have the trees with the little planter area. The middle will have a turf grass area. And then the existing pavilion will be part of this project, will not be changed in any way, but will obviously be within that. Also, the sidewalk will be kind of changed a little bit to allow for a food truck lane. So when food trucks come, they don't have to be out in the street as much. They will basically be off the street where a lot of the vehicles travel, but there still will be sidewalk access, as you see, that goes through there. The gravel pathways will be similar to what was the shops, but we're also looking at to have that gravel sealed so it's not loose. So it'll meet ADA requirement standards. And then as you see, the little white will be like additional benches that we have in there. If you remember the HPC, it was last year, I think it was, there was trees approved along Oklahoma, Wentz, and a little bit along Harrison. Basically, the trees that would have went in front of this area on Oklahoma will be incorporated within this project. It doesn't make sense to have trees kind of out in the sidewalk and then right next to it trees in the project. So basically those trees will be integrated into the park project versus out into the right-of-way. With that, give it back to the commission if you have any questions. Shonda, who has been the lead on this project, Rooney, she's here as well if you have any particular questions.
I'm going to ask the question because I know I'm going to get asked at coffee tomorrow morning. How many parking spots are we losing by doing this in the downtown area?
So with that parking lot, since it's been adjacent to the shops for the past almost 2 years, with the pavilion, the restrooms in that area, and with the farmers market and the regular events that are held in that area, I think people have kind of gotten used to that parking lot being out of commission. It's not used as often as it has been, but it's 10 spots that we would be losing. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The decorative elements that you listed here, is
Yes.
this exactly what you're going to use?
Yes, so these are the actual, like, what I would be ordering. The barrel planters are ones that we already have. All of these elements are ones that we already have in the area. We're just adding more. So the handicapped accessible tables, the steel picnic tables, we have 2 of those out there already. We're looking at adding 2 more of those. And then these wooden picnic tables and the Victorian-looking benches, those are also what we already have in the shops. We're just looking at adding 4 more of the historic benches, 2 more of the wooden picnic benches. The barrel planters, we already have some of those in the shops. That's where we have some planters, and we also have some little like solar light posts inside those. The only new element that we'd be adding is this like kind of metal decorative fencing to go around the flower beds where the trees will be planted.
So how many planters altogether are there?
There's going to be 4 planters out in the center in the activity lawn, 4 of the like whiskey barrel planters, and then there's going to be 4 flower beds where the trees are. Flower beds that surround the trees.
How big is the turf area in the middle?
I don't have that. Public Works is working on that. They're working on finding what size can be ordered easiest, but I can get that information back to you.
How wide are the walkways?
I know that they are going to be wider than what is like necessary for ADA accessibility. I think 5 was gonna be the minimum on the east side, 5 feet wide was gonna be the minimum on the east side next to the sidewalk, and then all of the other pathways will be wider than that.
How big are the tree areas?
That, Dan, do you know what size the trees were gonna end up being?
No, because we've gone through a couple renditions of trees to get the right species for the downtown.
Have you made a decision on that?
Not quite. We've been working with a landscape architect on figuring out again what's going to be best for the downtown to not create a lot of foliage, but also obviously be resilient and work within an Oklahoma climate. And offhand, I don't remember. Tenny would know in that, but I don't remember. I can just tell you that it won't have a lot of foliage, and it's going to be right for the Oklahoma climate.
So this is a concern that I do have. Have you been on AstroTurf in the summer? Because it's hot. It's incredibly hot.
Yeah.
I know, being a Little League football parent, that even August through October, it's 10 degrees hotter than what it really is outside.
This is going to be AstroTurf?
Yeah, so we're pitching turf for the activity lawn there in the center because we want this to be an area where people can move the tables around, move the chairs around, set up cornhole. We want vendors to be able to come in and bring their tents still for events like the farmer's market and things like that. So because it's going to be getting so much wear and tear, we don't want the grass to be patchy. We don't want it to get muddy and messy. We want it to be able to take a lot of like high traffic. So that's why we were pitching turf for the activity lawn.
I'll just have to say my concern right now is that there's so many things that are up in the air with this design. I'm not criticizing the design, but this is an idea of a plan. It's not a full plan yet in itself. And I would like to know more details.
Like the sizes of, like the measurements of things?
And, I'm not crazy about the AstroTurf idea. I've seen AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Also, when animals use AstroTurf as a restroom, it doesn't tend to go away.
Well, I think it all depends too. I agree with you on what you said. What I'm trying to do is if a private citizen came in here and presented this plan, what would we tell them? I'm just going to be brutally honest. And we'd tell them we need more details.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't think it's appropriate. I love the idea. I love what we're doing down there. I love all of it. But I think we got to know details about it.
Yeah, I can get more like measurements on what everything is going to look like down there.
Because I can vision for that size of plot, right? Like the planters. If they're itty bitty little planters, it's not going to look very good. And my only concern, I understand the logic behind having an artificial type grass. But what's that going to look like? I mean, I have concerns about that as well.
You make a good point. If a private citizen came in, we would table this.
Yeah, we would.
Because there's just not enough information.
Yeah.
Do we have
I wouldn't feel comfortable.
do we have a timetable for the project? Is it a schedule?
So with the grant agreement, I need to have 10% of the funding spent by May 31st, which in this case would be about $5,000. So I think it gives us a little bit of time to be able to come back if that's what the board needs.
I think if we just had a better idea of, I mean, I've seen what I call fancy grass. That's that looks really good.
Well, there's also the combo, the turf and
Correct.
field.
And then I've
Yes.
seen stuff that you can buy at Lowe's that you roll out and it looks like a rug that somebody's put outside. And so, and I just don't know what we're dealing with.
Just for a little bit of comparison, these are probably, the best I could guess is probably maybe 10 by 12 area, 120 square foot, 140 square foot area. If you look at one of the shops over here, those were, I think, 160, 140.
Yeah, those are 10 by 14 there at the
They're
bottom.
basically the same size as this area. So it'll be that size, each of these roughly, because the property is 50 foot wide. It's a 50 by, well, we're not using the whole thing, but it's a
Okay.
50 foot wide property in that. So these are around probably 160 square feet.
If we-
Right around there.
There's, I have a, we have an additional, we have apothecary garden at the same, on the same street, but opposite end, It's a garden, but still a park, and, kind of incorporating maybe some of those same design elements, I think would be more uniform, looking at that as well. We have
When you say design elements, are you meaning like the concrete benches and like the brick planters? Okay.
brick planters would be great, or even an entryway. We have tons and tons of historic brick, just mounted out there, that we can't use, or, could use, but we can't throw it out because
Yeah.
it's historic. So I think probably being able to bring more of the historic into it would be helpful as well. I love the concept rather than having just concrete out there. We do use it, it would be way more attractive and a great use of space.
It'd be beautiful if we do it right.
I think if it is done greatly and with, everybody being able to pitch in some efforts, I think that we could really get there, and it would be really beautiful use of space.
And if you came back, that would still give you guys time to meet the grant guidelines?
I believe that we would be able to make it happen, yeah.
Okay.
These Victorian benches are pretty cool, though.
I'm sorry?
The Victorian benches are pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have the Victorian benches, the black metal fencing detailing to go around the flower beds as well. The whiskey barrels kind of tie in with Prairie Wolf or Wonderful Oak across the street, and the wooden picnic tables. There's no elements aside from the turf. There's not elements that we're bringing in that aren't already in downtown somewhere.
And I do like the green, breaking it up and being able to have some green.
Yeah.
But even looking at the shops now, it would be great to see what we could do in the middle of the shops, maybe even to break some of that up. Could we, provide maybe some more light, because it's pretty dark down there, even whenever you all do have, because you go through a lot of effort to have additional performances down there at nighttime.
Yeah.
And it seems to be pretty dark there too.
Yeah.
So maybe even looking at that too, because it would be really nice to have that green square on both sides. And exactly what that green material looks like.
Yeah.
That would be great.
So maybe bringing back
And it could
some-
be really nice.
Yeah, so bringing maybe the types of turf
Yeah.
so that y'all can take a look and
Yeah.
see if there's a particular type of turf that you prefer over another.
Well, because there is a combo.
Yeah.
So I get what you mean by being able to have, an all-the-time green.
Yeah.
And something that probably doesn't wear and tear and break down.
Yep.
But there is a combo that is real grass and turf
Mm-hmm.
that does allow for that.
Okay,
And if it's such a small area, because it does tend to be a bit expensive, but it's such a smaller area in size, and we're not talking doing a football field.
But I think one thing we got to remember too, and like I said earlier, at least from my perspective, especially when we're dealing with our friends at the city, right? There needs to be the same standard we'd hold to anybody else, whether it's presenting something or what we're
Absolutely.
asking them.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't think anybody up here dislikes what we're doing. I just think I'll speak for myself, I want to know more about the materials and
Yes,
stuff like
yes,
that, just so I
absolutely.
know.
Yes.
'Cause we're the ones that get,
Materials,
accosted.
the design, yes, he's not wrong.
I'd make a motion that we table this until the next meeting and get some more details and work with Dan to get the presentation in order.
Was that a motion?
That
Yeah,
was.
you made a
I'll
motion.
second.
Okay. Yeah, so
Thank you,
motion by
Shawna.
Darrell
Thank you,
Covington
Shawna.
and a second by Phil Nichols to table till the May meeting. Jason Wells,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Darrell Covington,
Yes.
Phil Nichols.
Yes.
And Maneka Gibbs.
Yes.
All right, 5-0.
All right, that brings us to number 6, HPC application number 25-006, discussion and potential action on request for certificate of compliance for the new holiday laundry window signage for building located at 111 West Cleveland Avenue. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As indicated, this is for window signage. The laundromat on West Cleveland has had painted windows for a number of years, and as we were going through some of the downtown minimum maintenance and that, contacted them, and they've been very good to work with, and wanted to take it from the painting to a more vinyl and that. So as you saw, there was what they had before, and then they're proposing this. It would not exceed the 1/3 of any given window in that. As you see, they're using the entire window area in that, but staff did not have any issue with that. The applicant is here if you have any questions. With that, I'll give it back to the commission.
Okay, applicant, if you would please come forward. Thank you for coming and submitting your new design. Now, will this be painted, or are you going to be?
It's all vinyl.
It's all vinyl?
It's all
Okay,
vinyl, yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Because the last was
Yeah.
painted, and I just wanted to be clear that you were going to now
Yeah, yeah.
add vinyl
Yeah, they were just waiting for approval
vinyl
before they could do
signage?
it.
Yes, yes. I like this. It'll definitely will look a lot more professional. I absolutely love your laundromat.
Thank you.
I have a plethora of teenagers that spend the night and use a lot of comforters.
I'm there all the time. Well, my
Yes.
wife is, yeah. We drop off comforters all the time.
Yes.
Are you related to the other Herzls in town?
Sorry?
Your last name's Herzl?
No, mine is
No.
William Buck. Herzl still owns the
Herzl, oh.
building.
Yeah, they own the
okay.
building.
Yeah.
He still owns the
Okay.
building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve?
Yeah, Steve, yeah.
Yeah. Steve's responsible for the Herzls, you know,
All
at
right,
least for 2 of them.
right.
Great. Are there any questions or
I don't have any.
concerns in regards to this signage? No? All right, can I have a motion to approve the signage as presented?
I make a motion, we approve as submitted.
I'll second.
All right.
Thank you.
Jason Wells,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Darrell Covington,
Yes.
Phil Nichols,
Yes.
and Maneka Gibbs.
Yes.
Perfect, 5-0. Excellent.
All right, HPC application number 25-011, discussion and potential action on request for approval of a minimum maintenance plan for building located at 206 2nd Street, also known as the Redstone Inn. Staff report.
Thank you. Couple things I want to go over. The next remaining items are all minimum maintenance plan. I just kind of want to lay out some of the, because we're going to continue to see these as time moves forward here. The planning department has started to try to address some of the minimum maintenance issues we have within the downtown, you know, the windows and roofs and different stuff with that. Because as all of you know, per the HPC ordinance, it is required to do that. And the signage issues that came about were kind of the initial part of that, where as we were doing inspections and looking at things, thankfully those were all taken care of. I just wanted to point out a couple things. I think it's important that, 2 things. One is the roofs. The roof is a very important aspect of any building because with any leakage or any, if the roof isn't functioning, it can cause some serious issues with the building. Decay, foundation, internal, structural, or wood, the whole 9 yards. So with this, I've required that they present analysis of the condition of the roof or as a condition of the minimum maintenance plan, it will have to be taken care of. And then obviously based on that, whatever needs to be taken care of, they will need to take care of it, whether it's to just fix some issues on the roof, do a whole new roof, whatever the case may be. The second part is the rear of a lot of these buildings also are becoming an issue, more so than the front. And it's easy to forget because they're obviously in the back. But the same thing, the lack of maintenance on the rear of these buildings will start to create a huge issue structurally, especially. I know that when one of the property owners on Harrison had their building, in the back there was a lot of structural issues. And I know that there's been some other buildings the same. So when we do these minimum maintenance plans, we want to not only look at the front to make sure that, you know, it's done and obviously it looks nice from the street, but we also need to address it on the rear to make sure, again, that we're, you know, hitting all the aspects, especially to make sure we don't have structural issues and have some form of collapse with some of these buildings. So with that, the first one up is, as you indicated, was 206 South 2nd Street, down the street here. The applicant owner has presented a plan. It's actually a very thorough plan in that, and there was also an indication from him on what he would be doing. He was looking at complete in 6 weeks. That's the other thing that I'll put out there for the commission on each of these. It's really going to be at your discretion on how much time you feel is going to be necessary. Also, if, you know, just like we had the other item, if you feel there is not sufficient information from the applicant to provide or to approve a minimum maintenance plan, we'll let the applicant know, and they'll have to bring that back before that minimum maintenance plan is approved. In most cases, probably 6 months is not out of reason to allow somebody to do, you know, their due diligence to get maintenance. We do have one applicant that has more than one building, so they're all on the agenda tonight, but again, trying to, you know, make him do all the buildings in 3 weeks is probably not going to be you know, something that's doable, but a few months, or again, at the discretion of the commission, as well as talking with the applicant. So I provided everybody, I figured instead of going through it all, the applicant can kind of discuss what they're going to do. Most of this building appears to be in decent shape, other than just some of the minimum maintenance, the wood and some of the doors in that. The brickwork and all that is in pretty good shape. There's not a whole lot of issues. But with the plan that the applicant had put forth, it appears that they would be addressing all of the major concerns at this point. So with that, I'll give it back to the commission if you have any questions of me. If not, we can have the applicant speak on the item.
I've never heard of this applicant before. Does anybody know him?
Do we have to do it? No.
I will ask that Mr. Wells, if you would please go sit.
Sure, I'm gonna
stand in the
ask-
hot seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Mr. Bryan to come with me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put my arm around him. I'm going to default all your questions to him, just to find out.
That's fine. I want to thank you both for the plans that you guys have submitted. They're very thorough and incredibly detailed, and it's really appreciated. Also, 6 weeks is a really short amount of time. You're sure that's all you want to give yourselves?
Yeah, if you'd like, I can go through what we actually want to do.
Please, let's do
We can
it.
start with the front, if you'd like. That's where
Yes,
the
let's
most
do
work
it.
is going to take place. So if you're looking at that photo there, we already taken down the metal awnings, just pretty
Amber,
bad.
do you
Pretty-
have the front?
So the metal awnings have come down. They had a metal structure that also came down. Fortunately, they were just bolted to maybe not original, but pretty old existing structural members. So we didn't have to take apart anything other than metal structure and laminate. So that's been removed. Behind that is actually some more windows that are in great shape. We don't plan to do very much with other than paint.
There were transom windows?
They don't open, but they're just windows, like the ones below.
Okay.
They're kind of divided light windows. They're about half that size behind the awnings.
Great.
The problems are on the sides and down below. You can't quite see in this photo, but there's some yellow board and bat type of wood under the windows it's really, really destroyed. The vertical pieces on the ends are rotten and decaying. And also the pieces in between the glass are also in pretty bad shape. And so the plan as it stands, as proposed, is to replace what's rotten with, you know, a spruce or a maple, some sort of exterior grade wood that's paintable. And each of those panes, which you can't see in this photo, has a nice little detail on it, like a bevel that's inset. So we'll repeat that. I'm assuming that is original. And the two side doors will be the same. We'll just repair what's rotten there and repaint those. That center door, we can all agree is beautiful, and we just plan to leave that. Obviously not, we wouldn't do that. That whole section would come out. There's kind of brick up to windows below that. We've got a door, I'm not sure if you have a photo of it, that we would propose to replace with.
And I told Jason I'd bring those.
Basically, it's a 6-light door, which it kind of mirrors the windows, except there's 6 lights instead of 4. It's a wood door. It also has a similar board and bat at the bottom, just like the 2 side doors.
Okay.
The photo is black, but we'll paint it a different color. And then all that wood around that white door in the center will mostly will go away because the door is a little bit bigger than that one. It is an 8-foot tall door to match the side doors. And then up top, this is maybe not phase 1, and maybe we can get into that another day. You can let me know. We are going to repair the kind of the crown molding up top. Just kind of freshen up the paint on that as well. The same color scheme as down below, I believe. There's a little bit of repointing that needs to take place on the brick. I mean, minimal, like 5 to 10 square feet, just on the corners where it looks like maybe it's been hit over time or just worn down. Just gray mortar. No new bricks, just mortar only, I believe.
Okay. And I'm gonna call them shutters. They probably don't open.
They do not.
Okay. And you're gonna leave them? Maybe?
No, I think, well,
Okay,
phase 2,
if you
likely.
take them down, will you call me?
Did you,
Those are cool.
Well, we were talked about doing, if we can do something on the inside, right, and kind of just not even mess with those.
like leave them there for now?
No, like phase 2, pull them off and.
Yeah, like just some blinds up inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. The birds like to nest in there,
I believe that.
and it's kind of a problem. So, and they're in pretty bad shape, and they're kind of really bad shape. They'd be impossible to paint. So,
Okay.
I do think eventually those will come out.
So you said you're going to replace them with blinds?
I think there would be some blinds on the inside. Yes, ma'am.
Does it not close off the second story?
It's really nice.
Are there windows behind?
That's right. There's windows behind.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're just going to leave them just as windows without shutters, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Amazing, yeah.
So they just would be
I'll
inset
call these louvers. They look
They are
like
louvers.
louvers to me.
They are.
Yep.
They're coming down.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But
So-
perhaps not within the 6 weeks we originally proposed, if that would be okay.
And then the windows behind them will be
The
restored.
windows behind them, I don't believe are original to the building. I'm not sure if they're aluminum or,
They're a vinyl and, yeah, we'll have to talk about those.
okay.
Not the greatest.
But as he indicated, it'll still remain as windows in that they're not,
Correct.
going to brick it in or cover them up. It'll just be plain windows that'll be on that portion.
Yeah, it won't completely change the aesthetic of it.
Right,
No.
right, yeah.
Okay.
Are the murals a part of these?
No.
Okay.
No. The paint colors are,
Okay.
that's what I was looking for now.
Did you want to move to the second, you have the east elevation, is your second,
Do you guys have a photo that you could look at?
yeah, we have them all.
Okay, well, I can pretty much talk through it. There's very little in the back. There's 8 electrical panels or electrical meters. I think we just want to paint those, not the glass bulb, obviously, but just the gray box themselves. One of these 4 colors we'd like to propose. And there's also a back door that, it's just a white back door we'd like to paint and the trim around it. Very little on the east end.
Okay.
On the north side of the building, there's a staircase. It's a steel staircase. We're just gonna pressure wash and clean up, but yeah,
We have awnings also.
correct.
Yeah, so we do have one that's on the south side that the structure, I think we're gonna keep and we're gonna re-wrap it. And then the ones that are above the windows, we'll pull those down.
Okay.
Those are late 80s, early 90s, rough.
The wood around all these windows is good.
Yeah, they're all vinyl windows, so those were all placed around the same time.
On the back side of the building, Jason?
Yeah, and actually the awnings, if anybody wants them, the frame structures are actually aluminum. They're super, I mean, they're decent shape anyway, these awnings. I just don't like the look of it. I think it looks better without the awnings, and it's, you know, it's east face.
It dates the building to the wrong period, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's like that whole corner there is pretty well shaded throughout the day, so I think it makes a lot of sense to not have one really needed. And even on the front, we could make a case that I understand why the awnings are on the building, but I do like the look of them not being there on the front, because it does get, like, it exposes that other row of windows, and we don't have any south side windows, so the only natural light we get from inside
It's from the front.
It's from
is
the front.
all those windows.
Yes.
So, you know, hoping to get more light and then, yeah, kind of open that up. And I wish I had the paint colors to show you, because I really want to get down the approval also, but they were Sherwin Williams. They were historical. Something blue and then a white cream. I can't find them on my phone.
Oh, I've got it. Yeah.
Okay.
If you have it, we might as well do it all right now.
Yeah, that would be great, because 6 weeks is.
I mean, you don't want to have to stop right whenever you have momentum and then come back and improve paint colors. Are you going to keep the murals or restore them? Thoughts?
Well, the plan currently on the front is the Quill and Smith Wholesale Grocers is, we think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we had a muralist come look, and we were talking about maybe touching that up and cleaning it up, but she proposed leaving it as is. It kind of helps keep the building dated the way it is. The antiques and breakfast, I think, is going to be covered up with something else. And then there's one on the north side that just says Redstone.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to just cover it up with something else.
Later.
I think the idea
So you want to remove any signage that says Redstone right now?
Well, I think, so like an antiques bed and breakfast we have on the west side, and on the north side,
Windows are talking.
the really big murals. And we're going to like paint them, period, and also to where they're naturally kind of involved with the town. Right?
Okay.
And I want to rename, like, I want to put Redstone where it says antiques bed and breakfast, like, this thing is kind of meant, like, assume the name of the Redstone, right?
Yeah.
So we'd like to call it the Redstone in the front, and then have like
That's right.
period, like almost land run, kind of farm style stuff on the side of the building. So nothing with the company that I have or that my wife has, like that. It's going to be very generic for the town, not generic, but general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, period.
I love the fact you're exposing those windows that are hidden right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, that's awesome.
And I like the restoration. That's essentially what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I agree. I'm glad you're getting rid of the really classy door in the middle.
Jason, these, yeah, I don't know why you're getting rid of that great door, but these colors, would this be the same colors that you'd pick to paint the boxes in the back also? Something on that scheme, or were you guys doing something else?
The electrical,
Yeah, he said he was gonna paint those. I mean,
whatever hides them.
whatever hides them. I like that.
Acidic
Yes.
camouflage.
That's the magic answer.
Whatever hides them.
Whatever hides them, we're all about that. That's
Maybe
great.
black.
Or we could pick a red.
Battleship
Yeah.
gray for electrical panels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the navy and the classical white will be
Those are sharp.
that'll
Yeah,
be
these are
basically
good
the
colors.
navy will color of the dark green.
They'll look great.
That's really sharp colors.
Something you can't see in the photo, but the shadow on the Coyle and Smith wholesale grocers is more or less like a navy blue.
Okay, so it's
And-
closest to this
That's
needle
right.
point navy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
I think it'll be great. I like these colors and they do fit
Yeah.
as well. And
And the crown's not in this phase, but will be the next, I call it the crown.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be next also. But I did have a roofing guy come out, Dan,
Yes.
and review it, and so I'm getting a quote on that because I really need all that done, taken care of, because we found some leakage around that.
Okay.
I don't want to like go through and do all of this.
Absolutely.
Having issues like that.
Right,
So,
right, absolutely.
I think I would recommend that if we decide to approve this application, that we go ahead and leave in the 3 to 6 months. If you get it done in 6 weeks, that would be fantastic.
That's what I do too.
Just in case.
especially since you just mentioned also a roofer coming in and that was not included in your packet, so that's also an unknown variable here. Some of the others do include a roof inspection and you all haven't included that, so that would, I'd also agree with Valerie on including additional time for that.
So I'd make it 6 months.
6 months.
6 months, yeah.
And if it's 6 weeks, then
Even better.
Yeah, yeah.
I like 6 months.
Come on now, you gave us 6 weeks. And we ride bikes by your building, so I'm really excited to see this happen.
Yeah, it's good.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, we've had the plans. This is the second round of plans we've had, so. Business cash flow and standing in shops in other areas, I've kind of put this on the back burner for a bit, so.
Yeah, I've known Jason for a while, and I remember years ago, I don't even know if Jason remembers this, us driving around town looking at old buildings. You remember this? And there was a couple of them, and you knew that day that I was with him how much he loved these old buildings. And I think that's where this kind of stuff always starts, right? A love for the buildings, so it's kind of cool.
I started working at the State Capitol Publishing Museum in 1991, and this essentially, the outside of the building hasn't changed just a whole lot since then. So
Yep.
it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, great job on your plans, guys.
Yes, so we need to include in the motion the paint colors submitted because it's not in our packet. And also that they be given
6 months.
6 total months, but to keep in touch with Dan in the planning department, exactly where you are in the phases of your work here on your minimum maintenance. Can I have a motion for that?
I so move.
Okay.
I'll second.
And second by Phil. All right. Jason, oh, sorry. Never mind. Valerie Duncan? Yeah. Valerie Duncan?
Yes.
Darrell Covington?
Yes.
Phil Nichols?
Yes.
And Minecca Gibbs?
Yes.
All right, 4-0.
Thanks, you
Perfect.
gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry, I can't remember. All right, that brings us to number 8, HPC application number 25-007, discussion and potential action on request for approval of minimum maintenance and plan for building located at 202 West Harrison Avenue, which is the Victor Building. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I mentioned before, this one included, the applicant has had a roofing analysis done, and as you saw in the report, there are some things that need to be addressed on the roofing side. So part of that minimum maintenance plan would include the issues that were indicated in that. As far as this building, the biggest issues are the windows. There was, I think, a year or two ago, and the applicant could tell you with certainty, there was some brick issues out front that were taken care of. But for the most part, it's just getting the windows and a lot of the woodwork up to par and taken care of. Because if you see in the pictures, there are some that are rotting in that. But at this point, the roof and again, a lot of the windows and the woodwork would go a long way for this particular building. So that's all I have. And again, the applicant is here, so if you have any questions of him.
Okay. Applicant, Mr. Lapp, please. Okay, I believe we have right here first the Victor building and your minimum maintenance plan.
Yes.
Okay. If you want to go through this with us, we have first the facing north. And what we have here in our packet has got that all windows should be inspected, repaired, and repainted. The bay window needs inspected, repaired, and repainted. Replace missing trim. The metal trim has paint that is chipped and faded. The trim should be inspected and properly sealed, and then it should be painted.
There's several more pages, but yes.
So this is a monstrous, beautiful building, and it looks as though in the northwest, also same thing. You've got some, the big bay window needs inspected, repaired. Now, when you say needs inspected, are these are your findings that these need to be repainted? And so
yes.
Whenever you say inspected, who would you prefer to be doing the inspection?
Well, what we really want to do, and he's right, is primarily the windows, the paint, and the roof. There is some tuck pointing that does need to take place, so we're going to take care of that as well. And so we've talked to some people about that. The brickwork we did was actually during COVID, so I won't forget that. So that'll date it for you. But yeah, what our plan is, and we brought a gentleman in actually last week, but he couldn't get out there because of weather. But our plan is, and we did this once before, where we, from the inside, took a window, brought it inside, painted the trim on the outside, and then rebuilt the window if it needed to be rebuilt, or we repainted it and reinstalled it. And that lasted up until basically what you see now. It was bank owned for a while. I'm not throwing it on them. We didn't get in there and fix it either. So I don't disagree with that we need to fix it. And so he's essentially going to go window by window through the whole entire building. So every single building will actually come out to fully inspect it, and then it'll either. And my guess, just to give you an indicator, most of the glass is fine. Some of the glass we will wind up replacing, and that tends to be the new glass. The old glass is really good stuff, and we usually can put it back, but they did do some double pane that started to lose its seal. I think they give you a 20-year guarantee, and then it goes bad in 20 years is basically what happens. But so those windows, if they've lost their seal, then we'll probably replace the glass while we're at it. And at any time that we last time replaced the glass, we also obviously would replace all the trim and the wood. And the look will remain the same. What we did last time is we did use a plastic product on the outside, and those look like we did it last week, and it was first time we did that, it was 20 years ago. The ones where we used wood, they're starting to pill and dilapidate, so we'll probably do the same where we keep wood on the inside and plastic on the outside. And, yeah, so they'll literally go in and go through every single one. I do have a lift that's going to come to also work from the outside as well. So Walter Construction is coming out, and he wanted to be here tonight, but it looks like he won't be out till next week. So
I'm a little confused, the plastic that you use?
it's a wood replacement plastic, just like you can use Trex. It's I can bring you in a sample, but it looks just like wood. You can't tell the difference. We'd only use it where it's a painted surface.
Does it have the wood grain on it?
And we talked about everything. I've also got a guy that refinished the bar down at the Bluebell. He's going to do the 3 doors, actually, the Bluebell, the Victor door, and the hotel door as well. So those will remain real wood and restored. But the painted surfaces is where we use the plastic.
Dan, do you have
Is that something that the code allows for?
I'm honestly not sure even what that entails.
Oh, what?
No, yeah, I'm not sure what that is or what.
I can bring you in a
Yeah.
sample of it.
Well,
And
I'm just
what would be
concerned
great is just even show you on the building, because it'll show you how well it lasts.
We've been pretty strict about requiring people to go back with the same materials
Yeah.
that were historically there, so I would like to,
Yeah,
I'd like
because,
some more details about that.
yeah. Yeah.
It costs us about twice as much to do, but
I understand.
it held up a lot better.
I understand,
Yeah.
but, we've got to maintain some kind of continuity when it comes to downtown.
Visually, you could look at the 2 windows and you'd never know the difference. It has a wood grain to it and everything. Other than one will be rotted and one won't.
I'd like more,
Yeah.
I could bring you
an
samples if
opinion from
that'd be
staff
helpful.
on that before I
Okay.
would be comfortable approving that.
So do you have a priority in which you guys would work out these windows? I know you had said that you were visually looking on the inside, maybe to see where maybe there was some leakage or maybe not included from the roof. So would you be putting those replacements of windows in that same order, or would you just be working from one side of the building and moving to the other?
Kind of working our way through the building. We would probably start on the Bluebell, which will pop up. We're working, I don't want to show my hand too much, but we're working with an investor or a buyer on that property, and that'll help fund what we would do on other properties. So I'd probably like to start on that one. Also, we're on the 2nd story, and it's a little bit more straightforward. Every window's the same size. Victor's a little bit more complex, but I'd probably put it 2nd, and work our way through it. As far as order, I don't know yet. I didn't think about that aspect of it as far as whether we're going to start from the left to the right or whatever. But what we did before is we worked on the lower level first, just because it's most seen, and also we found it was a lot faster than the upper floors, because on those we could get on both sides really easily. So I think doing that again would be wise as far as, making it look good. Other than as we walk through everything, if there's a window that gives us concern, I'd want to jump on it out of order, just, so nothing blows out or, falls down or something like that. So he and I have talked through some of the projects, but we walked through the project, but not in depth on each one. Meaning each window. Yeah.
Right. Well, I was just
But they
looking
all
at
would,
it,
every single window would be
Right.
removed and replaced.
I was
Yeah.
just looking at it maybe from a structural, type, if you had leaking windows versus non-leaking windows, would you replace those first versus,
Currently, thankfully, there's not water coming in through them.
Okay.
But there are windows that give me more concern than others. The bay, I think, is, there's a different term for that, aerial bay or whatever the corner is. I think super visible, so I'd like to get on it as soon as we could get the lift and get going on that, and then probably spreading along this side and then down. Last time we did do that south-facing side first in the corner, and then we went down the street this way. There are a handful of windows on the north side as well.
So the last time you went through and worked on the Victor, approximately how long did it take you?
You know, it's been long enough, I can't remember.
I mean,
It did
not
take
including-
quite a while.
I know
Like,
you had to redo a wall, so not including redoing that wall.
right. Because some of these are really massive, some of the windows, and we had a team that did it, we'd get like one window a day, because they're really large and it takes 4 people to take it down, and we'd get it sealed back up. The Victor has, almost all of them are big. It's hard to tell here, but when you're standing next to them, they're massive. When you get onto the Bluebell, I think that's going to be more we could do 4 a day. And again, we're not popping them out and replacing them, which is very quick. That's what we did on the hotel. These we'd be popping out, rebuild them, and then put them back up. So it does take also whether that cooperates with that. In that they're so consistent, we'll be able to put wood up, you know, in between.
So in order of priority of the buildings you have here, what number priority would you put this building?
Number 2. And that's not playing favorites. I think
No,
this
I
is
was
actually
asking
more
for maintenance.
visible. The only reason I'm putting in number 2 is if our investors come in, this will all get done. If they don't, I probably need to sell the Bluebell, and that'll pay for the work to be done. So getting the Bluebell looking good would be beneficial.
Right.
Mhm.
And it looks like from the roof inspection, as Dan had suggested, he had everyone do a roof inspection that required minimum maintenance.
Yes.
And there is quite a bit of work to do, you know, to ensure the integrity of the building on the roof. Would you start there and then move to, I just want to make sure that when we put together a good plan, that it's a feasible plan, and
Sure.
you know, that we make goals that you can achieve, because not making achievable goals is worthless.
Right. And obviously, right now, this is not necessarily, it's a liability. It's just financial draw. There's no income coming in. And so it really gets to whether the investors come in or sell a building. But the roofs are a high priority. If we don't get funded, we talked to 3 different people about the roofs. And so if it's out of our pocket, we'll probably patch all the problems and fix it. If the investors come in, they've already said that they would bare minimum TPO it, but they like tear off, make sure everything's done right, and they'll put on a, they told me what roof, I forgot which one they went. So it really depends on if we could fund it or not. And if we don't, either way, we've got a plan for both. This one has 2 minor leaks that's been addressed, so it should be fine. It was just really since that big windstorm. The firehouse has an area that has to be addressed, and the lens has an area that has to be addressed, but the Bluebell's not leaking. And when I'm saying leaking, it was like maybe 16 ounces of water. It was like, it landed in a bucket and wasn't a 1/4 inch, and so we patched it. So there's not an active roof issue on this, and there's not an active roof issue on the Bluebell. I stepped away. I thought it was my feedback or something.
Well, the comments earlier about replacement materials for the windows, window trim, and you mentioned a composition material of some type, Trex, you said.
Yeah.
Which we're all.
It's not, I gave you that as an idea.
Now-
Lowe's sell it, most of the building
There are
sources
some
sell it.
materials that are approved by the National Park Service for historic preservation and replacement. We need to find out if that material is approved or not.
Okay.
That'd be, we'd have to have a sample or a list or something. Because, other than that, it would need to be wood.
Okay.
And it looks like staff gives 3 to 6 months to address the issues, depending on the extent of the repairs.
If I can, Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
Obviously with this applicant, he has more than one building. You could even look at maybe a time frame to where he can start to address some of the issues, come back and give an update or, show progress in that. Because I will say that with the buildings, it's going to be tough to, try to do all this and no disrespect to Mr. Ladd, but there's been, many years of not doing it, and we're not going to be able to accommodate, let's say 10, 15 years of not doing something in 6, 8 months. But I think it would be, obviously, to keep everybody on schedule or keep them on schedule, look at coming back, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, and address and say, here's where we're at and that, so we can make sure we're moving in a positive direction in that, because I do realistically think it's going to take more than 6 months.
Oh, well,
Yes,
clearly.
sir. Yeah.
Well, I
Massive
mean,
buildings.
clearly,
Yeah.
these are large buildings. That's
Right.
why I asked for him a order of priority.
Yes,
for his properties.
yes.
Was
Would-
he going to ask that he do all of these properties in a 6-month total time?
Right.
That's unrealistic.
No, exactly.
So,
Yeah,
I-
yeah. But I think it would be good to kind of set some benchmarks, like you
Yes.
said, to where, in 3 months or 6 months, can we, have this or give us an update or whatever. I do like and appreciate the fact that we would kind of put them as, an order, what we're looking at, because obviously on our end, it makes a difference too. Because if I'm thinking the Victor's supposed to be done and he's over there working on the Bluebell, it's, we're obviously not on the same page, so.
Larry, so the Bluebell would be first priority, Victor number 2, what would be 3, 4?
And that's as far as overall completion of getting that building done. There are kind of some pet projects that I would probably immediately deal with, like we are going through and looking at, even since the last storm, look at every single window, what's our priority. One of the little pet projects is the back side of the hose tower. It's just the siding. It's not structural, it's just siding on it. It actually has a metal infrastructure, but we've got, that's what Lee's coming out to assess, is the metal structure inside of it. I'm really curious on what our options are there. Originally, it's my belief that was wrapped in the tin. There's right now tin on the north, east, and south sides. I think that there was tin on the west side, but it probably got dilapidated, so that's where they put the wood with stain, and it lasts like 4 years, and we've painted it a couple times. We had a group that formed and took care of the hose tower, and just west-facing exposed pine just doesn't last. But if there is no option, there is none. If it's that we can get that tin, it kind of looks like a brick, but it's tin. That is famous for being a wooden hose tower, so I actually like the look of it being exposed, but I don't think that was the original look. But I could be wrong, I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about on the hose tower on the front. Okay. So I like the look of it, but if we could use something more durable, that would be great, but it sounds like we have to investigate that.
Daryl, I just asked Daryl, and he said he thinks maybe originally it was sheet metal.
Yeah, I think it was because it does have, if you look at it, it looks like it originally
Sheet
had.
metal shingles is what I think I remember. But
And I did find some of that in one of my other buildings on the inside. There's like a skylight in the pollard, so I might be able to, I didn't take the time to figure out if I have enough of them to do it, or, so I'll have to do a little bit of looking into that. Like I said, I kind of like the look of the wood. It's supposedly one of 3 standing wooden hose towers in the United States, so I
I
think
was gonna say, I
showing
think
it
it's
as
the
wood's kind of
only
cool.
one left in Oklahoma.
It is.
Yeah.
So are you
Yes.
saying that that would be your first project?
So, yeah, and I want to be clear on that. As we restore that, that's a different guy than that would be doing the windows. The guy on the roof is a different guy than doing the windows. So some of these will be simultaneously, so, there is that chance. I just didn't want guys down on the Blue Bell. Like I said, the firehouse has, in the, not this last windstorm, but the one prior, got about a 3-foot section peeled back because there was nothing blocking that. So we've got to get on that. So even though that's a lower priority building, the roof is a higher priority. So the pet project is probably getting the roof patched, even though we know it's going to come out when they do the full roof. I'll probably get the roof patched on it and on the lens and the hose tower just addressed. And then I'm going to have at that point, my focus will be the Bluebell and the Victor in that order, would be my plan.
If I could real
Yeah.
quick.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just from a visual perspective, that building's by far the worst of all 4 of them.
Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, staff has concerns about the structural integrity of that building. In that, I think at the very least, probably one of the first steps would be not only the roof, but looking at some type of structural analysis to make sure that there aren't, that there are not some more substantial issues there. I know that the tower was built in metal, which that's fine, but I'm not an engineer. And when I looked at that building, it looked very sad. And I had concerns about its structural integrity, especially in the back in that. So I think that's one that we should require at least some basic analysis to see if there's something more to it than just simply replacing some windows and siding on that.
And that is what, I was saying Lee Wildrop's coming to take a look at that, so. He's supposed to come out hopefully this weekend.
Okay. Okay.
He's a structural
Is
guy,
he,
Larry.
Yeah. He's actually primarily works with metal buildings, so big, large project metal buildings. And he has structural engineer guys and all that.
Is he a structural engineer?
He's not, but he has structural engineers that work for him. Yeah.
Now, Dan, your concern structurally was about the tower.
Yeah, the whole building, the tower and the rest of the building.
The tower and the rest of the
Yeah,
building. I believe.
yeah, because
The single-story building.
not so much the single story, the 2-story, the original in that, in the tower,
Firehouse,
in that, yeah. And it may be obviously perfectly fine, I don't know, but it's like with a lot of things, having a professional go and tell us yes or no, or here's what you need to do, and we're good. I think it's well worth it at this point. And then as Mr. Ladd indicated, the roof, and if we can get those 2 things, that would do a lot for that building. Because out of them all, the Lentz building's probably, that would definitely be number 4 out of them. Because there's some small stuff there in that, it needs some help in some areas, but the other buildings are probably a much bigger priority.
Okay, so let's secure first on the Victor building. I would like to see, the areas of the roof that need to be addressed, as in they're leaking and, or need, immediate attention. I would like to see that taken care of, at first priority out of the Victor. And we could put together an exact time frame. That way we can meet back with him on some of these other things. The concerning things to me on these windows are rotting wood, especially with this front portion of the building. You know, that is casing surrounding those, and they don't have any brick around them. So it's a little bit more than just having, you know, to pull the window and just replace the window. It looks as though these bay windows, as you would call
Oh, yes,
them,
the bay window has to be rebuilt, yes.
those need attention. Very drastic attention. So I would have to say that obviously securing the structure with the roof is always important, and making sure, even if it's only 16 ounces, it might be only 16 ounces that you gather, but where did everything else go? Is usually a concern. So it might not all have puddled there to come down, so you only caught that much in a bucket, and everything else could have just come in and seeped out other places.
Well, and for clarity, we get up every year up on the roof and we do roof maintenance on it. So what I'm saying is that all we had through all those storms was this small little leak into 2 buckets on that. That's 8,000 square foot flat roof. Yeah. And it's been addressed. Yeah. So anytime it rains, we go and walk the upper floors, because, you know, you don't want to have rain damage, and you don't want to definitely don't want it to penetrate through a building. So,
Great.
yeah.
So again, we'll definitely need to be reviewing and repairing these windows. Since you said that you're going to have a professional inspect these windows, and exactly what a plan is to replace those, I would like to see that plan brought back
Okay.
in detail. So whether you're working on those windows from priority of wood rot, or priority of east-west, west to east, I would like to see that as, here you indicated as inspected. So if you could bring that back, that would help, because you have so many properties on here. That would help us be able to give a good time frame in which to have these finished.
Okay.
Since this was the number 2 building, but it's number 1 on our list.
Okay.
So I think having a professional opinion, it would be much more worth our time to give a timeline and a goal if we have that.
Mm-hmm. And for clarity on the materials, you mentioned checking with, is that something I need to go check with is it the state historic?
That'd be a good source.
You can initially come to me, Larry.
And we may
Okay.
have it in our material also.
We do also have that available on historic preservation on the City of Guthrie website too.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's anything other than wood, because there has been a newer list, I think it's 2 years old, of approved materials
Okay.
to use in replacement.
Definitely one problem that we've had, and we find the old original wood, I believe. And that's why we keep as much of it. First of all, it was original, so we try to always keep that. But it lasts. But you look at it, and a 2x4 has 60 grains going through it.
Yes.
And today you go and get wood, and it's got like 4 or 5 grains through it. It rots out.
Definitely
It acts like a
wood
sponge.
that we have now is not going to
Yeah, it's not
be,
the same wood.
you know,
Yes.
300-year-old trees that we once had 100 years ago that we were,
Right.
you know.
You're talking 50 years of growth versus
Yes,
5, you
yes.
know.
And that's understandable as well. So
But it's important to
It
be
is.
as accurate, as historically accurate as we can possibly be.
Right, and I understand that aspect of it. What I'm saying is, if you saw the two, you would never know if there was a difference.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
Right. Right, yeah.
But like she said, the Department of the Interior has approved some materials, and we need to know that if, that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, you can come and talk to me. Because like with all these buildings, I talk a lot about contributing resources versus non-contributing. And that's why it's important, because contributing resources like this need to be as close to original as possible. In some cases, it's not possible, but that's also why they've put alternative materials or ways to get that. But again, you can come in with what you have or the info you have, and that's a start, and we can go from there.
Because, I thought they just installed metal windows on downtown.
Where? Which one? No, you can have aluminum-clad windows are an allowable substitute. So if you wanted to replace a window and it be an aluminum-clad window, that is allowed, because that's what they did on the Crest building. Those are aluminum-clad windows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen several buildings
Yeah.
with.
And those are.
When we got approved on the second and third floor of the hotel with metal.
Yeah, that wasn't, that's unfortunately not a proper method they did in the past. Because there was a determination many years ago that anything above could be vinyl and the bottom just has to be wood, but that's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, aluminum clad windows are a allowed window in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there, and I'll come talk to you,
Yeah,
because any
that's fine.
resources that would
Yeah.
help us know
Yeah,
what to do. Okay.
Okay, so from this building right now, we want to make sure that there is no elements from the outside getting on the inside. That includes the roof and the roof inspection. So you've already stated you have had these issues already repaired.
On the Victor building,
Victor
yes.
building?
Not on the Linz and,
No, we're not there.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Yes, just on the Victor, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then,
The roof?
just the two active leaks. We're still talking with the roofers. We're getting 3 bids on
Okay.
whether we're going to mop
Yeah,
it
so
or.
you didn't address,
Yeah.
you haven't addressed everything in.
We addressed the active leak she was concerned about. We haven't mopped
Yeah,
or
okay,
TPO'd
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
because we'd have to get approval for that.
No, right,
Yeah,
right. But
yeah.
yeah.
so next month, you did say you're having a window guy come before. Okay, so next month you're going to have your professional contractor who does your
Yes.
windows. And he's going to bring you what his inspection and plan is for replacement and the order that needs to happen.
Yes.
Correct? And then also plan of action on the issues for the roof. That's included in here
Okay.
for your Victor.
Yes.
Okay.
And the material.
Yes, and the materials used.
Yes.
Yes, for the windows. Okay, so I think we can move on to the Bluebell.
We don't have on which one we did for.
We do, but that's just for him to bring back to start that next plan, because since he's got so many, it'd be great for, to put in a full plan and come back for next stages.
Yeah, because I can just note, if we want to make a formal motion and second to basically table it till the next meeting, awaiting additional information, we can do that too, in that for the record.
I think that would be good for the record.
Yeah, so it's known. Because I think all of these, as Maneka has indicated, will probably need similar type information on each of them in that. So yeah, we'll probably end up doing it with all of them, which is also fine because that's part of what the code says is here's what I'm looking at. Here's
He did
what,
state though that he could start, he had plans to start on the Bluebell immediately.
Yeah.
So, if he could start at least on one building and a minimum maintenance.
Sure.
Without having to wait for him to come back and give an
Yeah,
explanation.
that'd be good.
Out
Yeah.
of his time, then That's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
At least if, if while he's working on the Bluebell, he's getting this information for
Yeah.
the next building, then we have a plan of action for each
Okay.
building. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I was just thinking we can make, like I said, on this one, Victor, make a motion in that to
Yes.
table. So that way the record shows there was some action and we're just awaiting additional.
I'd make a motion that we
Okay.
table on the Bluebell submission, or excuse me,
Yeah,
the Victor
Victor, yeah.
Mall submission until we receive more information.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. Jason Wells,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Darrell Covington,
Yes.
Phil Nichols,
Yes.
and Minecca Gibbs.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, number 9, HPC application number 25-008, discussion and potential action on request for approval of a minimum maintenance plan for a building located at 224 West Harrison, also known as the Bluebell. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, this was one that they submitted a roof inspection, and just like the previous one, it addresses or outlines a few issues that need to be taken care of. As I put in my staff report, yeah, the most glaring exterior issues are the windows and basically the trim. In the pictures, you'll notice there is some wood brickwork that needs to be done on the front, as well as a piece of paneling that no longer exists. But right by the front door, and that if you're standing at the door, the upper left-hand corner, there needs to be some brickwork. But the rest of it is pretty much a window issue. And with that, I give it back to the commission.
Okay, Mr. Ladd? Okay, now, let's address the
Welcome
Bluebell,
back.
please. So you did state that you could start on this building much quicker than the rest.
Yes, I'll still have the same questions as far as materials on those second floor windows. The lower windows, we do need to address some things, but we can do them as they stand. So in other words, we can go in and repair the windows. And we've got one group that would like to pick new colors, but I think just so we can hit the ground running, I could, I'd just keep the paint scheme the same.
Yeah, and they
then-
can always come in and,
Yeah.
Change it and update it later, yes.
application, new
And-
paint colors, that's not a big deal.
On the bright side, we are missing a couple teeth there that he'd mentioned in the trim. We have those. And we're also missing a couple more teeth since the strong wind. And so that's kind of one of the first things we'd like to do is get, and I talked already about getting scaffold out. So, if we're approved at least on moving forward on that, that would let us hit the ground running.
Do you know what the windows are up top? What,
They're wood
are they
double
wood?
hung.
Okay.
And those are the original glass. They're not double paned or anything, yeah. I say original, 80% of them are original and 20% have been replaced through the years, so.
Okay. Which of the windows would you say are in the worst
I think the
condition?
upper floor are, but I would like to know what my options are on rebuilding those, whether, what materials, just because this takes a lot of direct sunlight, so it would be getting up there every year or two painting them. And so if we can
I think we
make
should
it,
get that list, get with Dan and get that list of alternative materials.
yeah, so that would really
Then
be
you can
helpful.
really work from a factual basis and
Yeah, because obviously anything that would be allowed by the code would be, suitable. And the same thing, they would have to keep the same, type of design in that. And, as you guys know, that can be done as minimum maintenance as long as it meets all that. So that's something that obviously we can deal with even at the staff level, as I said, to coordinate with him to make sure that what is being done is compliant with the code, whether it's repairing the existing or replacing entirely.
Okay, so, Dan, in order of importance for what's needed to be done in this building, structurally, what do you foresee needs to be done?
Well, as Mr. Ladd indicated, you know, the roof and then, you know, some of the other stuff, because it's the most visible
Yes.
in that, in the brickwork. So if that could be done first in that, and then start working on the windows up
The
top.
upper windows? Yeah, I did notice one of the windows has got some help me spray foam up there.
What's the minimum maintenance on the requirements on the roof, on a roof in general?
We really don't have any. That's the thing, because most of the roofs are just, you know, the tar or layered. So basically, it comes back to as long as it's a roof that, you know, is more of a commercial grade or meets a commercial type building. And that's, you know, what we need.
So we're not asking them to get an entirely 20-year, 50-year roof?
No,
on these? Okay.
no,
Yeah.
no. I mean, not at this point. The main thing is to have a roof that isn't leaking.
Yeah.
And that, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. You know, even if there's something 10 years, obviously it'll have to be addressed down the road at some point. I mean, it would make sense to do the longest possible you can, but I also know from an expense standpoint, that's not always an easy option. And with other things happening at this point, just getting a roof that's in, you know, if you want to say compliant or not leaking is the critical part.
I mean, to do some of these roofs on these larger buildings, you're talking $250,000 if you
Yeah.
did a complete tear off and
Yeah,
replace.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's significant money.
Now, Larry, on the portion of the building where it has the metal sheeting, that is coming off, would you just replace that? Put that metal sheet back up? Or are
We
you
have
looking
the
at
actual pieces that
material?
came off.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I put the word out actually before we got this notice, and so about 4 months ago, we were able to find a replacement, and then a guy came forward with, hey, I've got these, and it's
found your metal
yeah, it's literally the pieces that came off the building. Like it's got the same paint. It's off there. We lost this tooth as well, and my wife found it. So yeah. So what we'd like to do, and we're testing with the pieces that are down. What's involved in scraping it, because it does have like chipped and peeled paint on it, and that will give us a good indicator of what we're going to run into up there. We did check, and they're pretty good, so we're hoping we can do, refinish them where they sit, and paint them, just because they're going to be pretty tough to. I can't believe they blew off. Let's put it that way, because it's pretty on there hard. One of the hardships is getting around the awnings. So yeah, we're figuring that out, whether we have to take them down to, get up to, yeah, because the bucket gets us where we're too high to get to it. So yeah,
Right.
so
you had
we'll deal with
stated
that though.
You may have an investor help you with this building. So what do you think your actual timeline is to start working on this?
Well, our plan, we were supposed to have a big meeting on the 24th. That would have been on all of our buildings, but that's been postponed because they kind of want to see how this all goes, along with a couple other things they're waiting from the city as well as from me. And so if that all goes forward, we'll do good things quick, okay? If we're doing it on our own, it's going to be harder. What I was saying with this building is I do have a gentleman interested in buying it. So if the large investment deal falls out and we don't have that as an option, we would probably sell this building, and that will give us the throw to be able to work on the other buildings. Yeah, and the guy that's buying this would, obviously I've shown him the report, so, yeah. I don't think I answered your question, though. I think I drove the bus around the block. Was it?
A date.
Okay.
In which you could start, at least,
But we
Because
could
we would
definitely
like
get
for this-
started.
Yes, for this minimum maintenance plan to actually start, you know, we kind of put off the Victor, so that way you could get a plan of action, from your contractor for windows. That way we can actually put together a good maintenance plan on that building.
Perfect.
But this one, it does have, missing trim pieces and missing, point sections that, could be structural. So, we do need to go ahead and start a minimum maintenance plan on this building in
Okay.
itself. So I believe staff report put this one at 3 to 6 months,
I put them all that way.
which all of them. all of
yeah,
them-
yeah.
You couldn't give just realistic timing here, Dan?
Yeah, well, you know. Yeah, I mean, how much, I don't know, 3 months?
To, like, complete that project?
For this one, the Bluebell.
I have something to say about that.
Okay.
If we're gonna give 6 months for a building that's directly across the street from this building, and you look at the workload that we're asking him to do on this, compared to the workload that Jason's gonna be doing, I think it would be unreasonable not to give him at least 6 months. That's my
Oh, yeah,
personal
that's,
opinion.
yeah, I mean, I have
That's my
no
personal.
issue.
I just think being
Okay.
fair.
So if we're gonna do 6 months, I would like to see, you know, certain things done
Sure.
at certain times within
Yep.
those
Yep.
6 months,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so, you know, obviously, the metal trim, are you gonna use the same paint colors?
I think so at this point, just to move the process
Right,
along.
to move
Yeah,
this
and it's actually
along.
quicker too, because you're not quite cutting in as difficult either. So I think we would get the job done faster, which would allow us to move to the next
And
project.
we gotta find out about the material.
Yes,
On the
for the
road,
windows, I
for the
need that.
windows.
For that,
But-
but Dan can take care of it.
Right, but we could do the work on the brick
Yes?
yeah, and the trim.
and the trim.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you have the trim.
And I think basically kind of below the second floor windows, or everything but the second floor windows, we could get moving on.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It sounds like I wasn't, yeah, I think everything's fixed.
And then,
So-
the only thing I would say is, just like we did with Jason, we want updates on how things are going. I think that's a
Yeah.
reasonable request of
I
us
agree.
to
I agree
make
with
sure that we're on track and
So I think probably, at least have everything done with the first floor as necessary. Let's do the brickwork and that trim. If you can have that done, I'd like to see that finished within 6 weeks. I'm sure you can get that done
I think so, yeah.
sooner than that.
How are we doing the follow-up meetings? I mean, obviously, that wouldn't be another
Well,
application,
He would
right?
have to come, I mean,
Well, yeah, I was going to mention, there's one or two things that can be done. One, I could simply just update, you know, based on obviously the progress that we see or in communication with the applicant. If there's reasonable progress, we probably don't need to have them come here in that. Obviously, if for some reason there is not much progress, or there's some other issues that come up, then we can have them available at the meeting. But it might be just as easy just to, each meeting, give an update on where we're at with each of the projects.
I think that's fair.
yep.
Yeah.
But
You like
just
that,
for
Jason?
your reference, probably those, obviously, these things that are pertinent to the outside, that are visual
Right.
to everyone, let's get those taken care of. And anywhere where, you know, the second story windows are alarming. You know, spray foam is not visually fantastic. And this is a wonderful building. I love it. Everybody does. Everybody's got some sort of memory in the Bluebell. So probably the sooner the better that you can get with Dan and not waiting until the very end of the 6 months
Right.
on that window replacement
Right, right.
would also go a long way. Because I know these buildings have been sitting a long time, and I know everybody is looking forward to seeing you get moving on these. So they're wonderful buildings, and so I think keeping up with Dan and definitely meeting these structural requirements as needed. And then obviously after these visual ones are done, making sure your roof is not leaking and is structurally sound, which you have somebody interested. So they also don't want your roof to be leaking as well.
Yeah. And like I said, there's no active leaks in it, so.
That's good. So I think from that kind of a standpoint, we'll give them 6 months on this one for a minimum maintenance plan, and with the visual components of the tin and the brickwork and the pointing to be replaced within 6 months of that minimum maintenance plan.
6 weeks.
Sorry, 6 weeks.
Yeah, 6
And
weeks.
then, thank you, Phil.
Yep.
And then the upper windows and materials to be worked out with Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Or a motion?
Can I have
So
a motion?
moved.
Perfect. Thank you, Phil. Second, is there a second? Oh, okay.
I don't have the brain right to repeat all that.
It's on video, so I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we're
that's it.
okay.
Jason Wells,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Darrell Covington,
Yes.
Phil Nichols,
Yes.
and Mineka Gibbs.
Yes.
All right, 5-0.
Okay. So that brings us to number 10, HPC application number 25-009, discussion and potential action on request for approval of a minimum maintenance plan for a building located at 111 South 2nd Street, known as the old fire station. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've already kind of talked about this. My staff's biggest concern was the rear of the building, given the condition, but also, again, whether there's some structural issues or not with this particular building, and even the tower. So I think at this point, given everything else he's doing, at least if we can get we already have the roof information, but if we could get the engineer or the analysis on the building as well as the tower, that would go again a long way. And then after that, it really could, it'll kind of tell where that minimum maintenance plan really needs to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, is there any issues with, is this building secure from that outside?
It appears to be. I mean, I think there was there was a broken window at one time that he repaired that we saw. But I think even on the back, I don't believe there's any actual broken windows or anything.
We had to secure it pretty good because we did have kids break in and
Right.
we caught them, and I don't think they'll be back. But yeah, so it is secured, but yeah, I mean, we'd like to see it all
Right.
tighter, yes.
Okay, so on this one, let's go ahead and see if we can't have it inspected with a structural engineer and have that brought back for the next meeting. That way we can put a viable maintenance plan together for this building, because for the building, the original structure, the small one right next
Right.
door, and the hose house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that way, an actual viable goal maintenance plan can be put into action.
Sure,
For this
sure.
building, okay? And then you'll bring that back at the next HPC meeting. That way we can put an actual maintenance plan together.
So moved.
Perfect.
Thank you, that's what I was looking for.
There a second? Valerie again? Okay.
There you go. Valerie.
Jason Wells,
Yes.
Nathan Turner. I'm sorry, Nathan. I had it crossed
You
out
really
on the
miss
other
Nathan,
ones.
don't you?
I know. I had it crossed out on the other ones. Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Darrell Covington,
Yes.
Phil Nichols,
Yes.
and Mineka Gibbs.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, that brings us to number 11, HPC application number 25-010, discussion and potential action on request for approval of a minimum maintenance plan for a building located at 119 West Oklahoma Avenue, known as the F.O. Lutz Building or the Lutz Department Store.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, like with the other ones, there's a The roof inspection, I probably, if anything, that would probably be the priority for this one. The rest, we can probably wait maybe till a later time, or some of the basic stuff in front. Some of the stuff in the back, we can kind of get to as time goes. Obviously, as we indicated with the other three, he has some higher priorities that he needs to be taken care of. So, I mean, honestly, if replacing the one piece of glass that fell out and getting the roof, that would be a good start for this one.
And I agree with what Dan was saying too.
Where's the glass that fell out, Dan?
Oh, it's the, what is it?
In the back.
Yeah.
In the back, in the alleyway?
Did you replace the one on the front?
There
was this doesn't show very well, but wasn't there one of these pieces, or did that get replaced? I thought there was still one out on the front.
I think there's a piece of painted wood there.
Okay.
They're painted windows, yeah.
Oh, that might have been on the other.
Yeah,
one
and
next
a
door.
bit on the
Never
back,
mind.
there's
Yeah,
a
okay. Yep.
missing window. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So with this building, just like others, we want to make sure that, you know, public safety is, no, it's going to
Yeah,
be number one on the list. We definitely don't want any glass falling out of windows. And while the back of a building is not pretty, we still have a lot of people that use the alley and park back there, and it is public accessible. So making sure that it is safe as well is vital. The lens has a lot of work. But also making sure that it is structurally safe is super important as well. Each one of these buildings affects the next building and affects the next one because they're all connected.
Right.
So making sure that we're being great neighbors to our other buildings, and you even have in the Lentz building, somebody else that owns
a condo, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say a portion.
a portion of it. So even more so, it's important to make sure that the Lentz is in a safe, non-hazardous condition. Of course, we'd like for it to be in much better condition. This is a monstrous building.
Right.
So we would like to see that the panels of glass be replaced. There's a lot of things that need to be done on this building. It's kind of hard to know where to start. Immediately, let's make sure that I would like for the same, there's a lot of rotting wood on the front of this building. And so I would like for us not to have to wait until the glass falls out.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Before. So I would like for you to have your same contractor that's going to assess the Victor, because there is quite a amount of rotting wood on the front of the Lentz building, to also bring back an inspection of the windows
Okay.
of the Lentz building, and the condition of those. Because there is a lot of rotting wood, and I understand it's multi-level, hard to get to, but I would hope fully that he could give a fair assessment on what it would take to replace these and the wood surrounding those. I think is a really good place to start on windows. But immediately the ones that are broken or missing in the back, those do need to be replaced. Any of the trim on the front, we need to make sure that that is properly sealed. So again, that goes to any of your structural portions of your building, to make sure that no water or anything gets down inside of those. So, anywhere where you see that there's got to be something properly sealed, it automatically raises alarms. We want to make sure that the integrity of the building is going to be in good shape. If you're going to sell it, your new owners are going to want to make sure that the integrity of the building is still there.
Right.
So, Dan, what order you would put this in as far as,
Said 4 earlier.
Yeah, I was going to say, it really since everything else was kind of prioritized, this would end number 4, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. At least the rotted areas of the front should be looked at and repaired as best possible. And again, the roof in that. Some of the other we can give time for the other windows, but the critical one is the rotted ones and again, the roof.
yep.
Yeah.
So again, let's go ahead and have your same window contractor bring back that assessment that you're gonna have done on the Victor. If you would, please have them do that. Let's make sure that your roof is secure as far as leakage. And then if you would have a contractor inspect any of the metal trim that you have on the front of this building as well, and bring back estimates to that as in timing. That way we can also build estimated minimum maintenance plan for this building. But let's go ahead and make sure that that structural integrity is there, and any missing windows, replacement windows, those do need to be done immediately. Replaced immediately. That's a public safety hazard.
What kind of timeline on that for the windows?
Immediately, let's scare.
I mean, I know Larry agrees. I mean, we don't want anything falling out and hurting anybody, but.
No, yeah.
So, how many are we talking on that?
This is for the back of the building.
Well, there's the front that doesn't, aren't we missing a window in the front?
No, it's in the rear.
These are
It's in the rear. There's
Right.
nothing in the front.
No,
Yeah.
nothing in the front.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking for his window contractor to bring back an
I see.
analysis for the
I
front
see.
windows.
I understand.
Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
rotting wood
Yeah.
like the Victor.
Yeah, thank you,
Yes.
yeah.
On
Daryl and I are both tired. He's just
I
not
know,
saying.
I'm sorry.
Thought I missed that one.
I said, we're both tired.
Oh,
We're hanging on over here.
I'm sorry. So if we could have these back windows, if you could have those done within 3 months, and then meet back next month with your
Plans.
analysis for your windows for the front of the building. And then we can put together the rest of the minimum maintenance plan for the lens.
Okay.
And that is in priority number 4 of your buildings. So we'll also keep that in mind as to the order of importance. But the building itself is no less important than any of the others on the list.
Right.
So, however, we want to make sure that you can get to it and that we're setting realistic goals for you.
Right.
But at the same time, keeping in mind that, each one of these buildings are landmarks, and we're just as responsible for making sure that they have integrity still.
Right.
So.
Right.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. Jason Wells,
Yes.
Valerie Duncan,
Yes.
Daryl Covington,
yes.
Phil Nichols,
Yes.
and Minecca Gibbs.
Yes.
5-0. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
I can sit down?
You can sit down. All right, staff comments.
It's the old infomercial, but wait, there's more. There were more to have on the agenda. However, obviously, it's already taken a while, so, but I just wanted to say that, yeah, we will be having buildings coming along. In our downtown, there's more that are gonna be more significant issues, some with less significant issues. Some we may be able to hopefully address without even getting a minimum maintenance plan, just working with them in that. So as these meetings come along, there will be more buildings or more properties that will be addressing. And so this is going to be more of a long-term thing. It's not something we're going to be done within 2 or 3 meetings. Could be probably a whole year, maybe more, depending in that. But at least we're at a point where we're starting something and moving forward to, again, get the needed maintenance on a lot of the buildings. And of course, as you know, with Jason and the Kleinfelters, we're fortunately seeing some investment in these buildings already that, you know, people are buying and fixing up. So hopefully between the two, we can get to where, again, we get the buildings taken care of and can be here for another 200 or 300 years.
Does the city have a structural engineer that,
No.
no? Is there anybody we like reach out to for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, honestly, any engineer that's, you know, again, deals with structural type stuff should be able to do it.
I was just thinking to help offset the cost. I mean, especially for
Yeah.
somebody like Mr. Ladd.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It would be great if we did in that. But as you know, even our city engineer is contract, you know, we contract out even for, so we don't even have an engineer on staff.
That might be something that we could maybe look into.
If we could get a couple, you know,
Yeah, kind
city
of like
council
recommend.
people that would maybe recommend that and run that up the flagpole. Anybody knows a couple of them? Anybody knows a couple of them?
You know, any time we can be, you know, helpful and mindful that these are also personal properties, but that anytime that we can be better partners in getting these properties together, I feel like that's only more helpful than it's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's obviously why we're going through these and making sure that we can also help in any way. So I think having, maybe you're putting together a list of, you know, engineers, preferred engineers, or, you know, preferred contractors maybe that have done the work and know how to work on historical buildings, or understand exactly what the requirements are, because we get a lot of, oops, I didn't know. So that might be helpful, that we could maybe come up with some sort of list.
Yeah, no, I'll look into it because there's some out there that, and some are specifically more with historic type buildings and that. And I think there's one out of OKC, I forget his name, but yeah, that's something that I'll look into and put, so then we do have some contact to give people.
Yeah.
Great.
Probably would make the process a little quicker, smoother, and a little.
Take some of the bias out of it too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you never know.
You're right, Jason.
Yeah.
You know, just, I think the more we can be helpful, the more tools we can give, the better the outcome. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. With that, is there any other commissioner comments?
Just on these buildings, we're using sort of a loose timeline, 3 to 6 months. And I don't think that's realistic or reasonable in the case of these large buildings with lots of work that needs done on them. So I know we need some kind of timeline, but I think we might want to get a little more flexible on that. Just make sure that the work is beginning and progressing, other than, you know, have a 3 to 6 month window.
No, I don't disagree. I kind of look at it like with our dilapidated structures for the homes that we have. Once people contact us, and the same thing, we basically have them give us a plan of what they're going to do and the timelines and that. And the same thing, it's usually an initial 6 months, but if they're making progress and they're not quite done and that 6 months comes, we're not going to stop and say you're done. Like you said, the biggest thing is to make sure there's some progress in that, and you're absolutely right with some of these bigger buildings and that. It's going to take time. As I said, you know, you can't go 20, 30 years with little to nothing and then expect it all of a sudden overnight to be back up to par. So the biggest thing is just, again, getting to a point where we start that progress.
And then just another comment on the roofs. Most of the roofs that I saw in the photographs are beyond their useful life. They're worn out. They need replaced. There, with the exception of 1 or 2, there was a couple of them. Maybe the firehouse roof is not as bad a shape as some of the others. But so I don't know how that works going down the road, but those roofs are worn out. Their granules are gone. The coating is alligator. Got all kinds of problems with them. So if they don't get replaced in the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to have real problems.
I was just on a roof in town with a client of mine who's in that industry for a friend of mine that bought a building. And, you know, the sheer cost to replace these things, you know, I mean, it's an absolute necessity. I mean, the building's gonna die from the inside out if you don't have a good roof, but it's a real thing, and I don't, you know, I think we've all, just like we're collectively working together for the overall integrity of what they look like, most important thing is that they're always here.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And so I think just like what we're talking about with structural engineers, and anything we can do to bring professionals in that can help our citizenry. So number one, we know they're working with a good, competent contractor.
Oh, yeah, and not every contractor can do a flat roof.
Well, very few can.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's just because you can go slap some shingles on a house doesn't mean you're ready to take on a commercial building. And, but the roof I was on, that's exactly what happened. That there was a new system put on there not long ago, but it was improperly installed. It was, and it's gone. I mean, when I say gone, I mean it blew away. It's somewhere north of here. And so, you know, we've got to, I think, as the city and us, we got to do everything we can to make sure we're giving these building owners the resources they need to make good decisions. You know, most roofers are going to all tell you they can handle it. Doesn't mean they can.
That's right.
You know, so I think anything we can do to help vet that would be really good for everybody. So,
I agree.
did I hear you make a motion to adjourn?
You might know a roofer.
Did I?
That's your job.
That's my job. You're going to second it?
You're
gonna
all
second
over,
it?
you're all over motioning. So if there are no other commissioner comments, Phil,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I said.
Had a girl.